I'm here with Tom Conrad, the CTO of Pandora.
Hey Mike, how are you?
Okay. We're just all having dinner inside. Actually, MG's here as well. So we dragged you out here to the middle of the street to get some information from you guys.
You're going to need a waiver from that guy.
We need some information on this funding.
Yeah.
Because you're not saying much. You gave us confirmation last night, but it's really not much. So we want a little bit more from you now. So tell us, first of all, the Sound Exchange settlement, what happened there exactly?
Yeah.
Because it was this time last year, everyone thought you guys were done.
Yeah, so we've been, I think it was 2 years and 4 months ago, not that we were counting, this royalty rates decision came down from the Copyright Royalty Board that adjusted the statutory licensing rates for internet radio up by basically a factor of 3, to the point that everybody on the webcaster side, and frankly a bunch of the more enlightened people on the rights holder side, agree that internet radio couldn't survive these kinds of rates. And so for the last almost 2.5 years, we've been
waging a PR and legal battle.
Yeah, kind of constant negotiation with the rights holders, and finally,
including threatening to shut down your business last year.
Yeah, I mean,
that got some press.
Without question, Pandora could not have continued with the old rates.
Right.
So happily last week, Sound Exchange announced a new license. They call it the Pure Play license. So it's a license that's being offered exclusively to companies who basically their exclusive business is internet radio. And the deal basically, you can think about it this way: we traded off a guaranteed minimum of 25% of our revenues in exchange for a lower per track rate. So we paid the greater of 25% of revenue, or this newly adjusted lower per track rate. The rate that we had been sort of fighting about was just a per track rate.
What's the per track rate?
It kind of ramps over the years. One of the great things about this particular settlement is it's through 2015, so we won't be dealing with this again next year. And the way I usually think about it is in the number of cents per hour that we pay. And so it's about, it starts at about 1.2 cents and ramps to just over 2 cents over the period. Okay. Versus, I think the old rate in 2010 would have been almost 3 cents.
And you can live with 2 cents.
We can. Yep.
But in 2015, it's going to be basically what they wanted it to be. Is that right? By the time it gets up to there?
It's, by 2015, it's getting pretty close. I think it's still, my math says it's still the difference between 2.2 cents and 2.7 cents, so there's still some difference.
So that happened, and then immediately you closed this funding round. So obviously those were kind of tied together, right?
They weren't so much tied together, but I do think it.
Did you close the funding after the settlement?
We're not really talking about the specifics of the funding.
That's a yes. Okay, so they weren't really tied together, except for the fact that you closed the funding 5 minutes after the settlement was signed.
Or we don't really. We have this long history of not talking about the funding that's gone into Pandora.
Right. So let's talk about the funding. So what are you saying? Rumors 35 million. What are you saying?
Yeah, can't talk about how much we raised.
Are you saying it's not 35 million, or are you just saying I'm not commenting in anything?
No comment at all.
How much did you raise before that round? Because that
also,
you guys
we've never talked about that.
Oh, because it's all leaked out, or at least I thought it had. So we have stuff in our database.
You have stuff, but it's not clear to me that it's accurate.
It's not, and you would be in a position to know.
I would.
And David Z from Greylock.
David Z from Greylock. That we're really excited about and happy to talk about. David's great. Greylock is a fantastic investor. Really, really happy to have.
So it wasn't like there's someone else you really wanted, and then you had David as a backup and took him.
Yeah, David.
That's what you said off.
David was the guy all along.
And what was the valuation on this $35 million round?
Yeah. Also not talking about that. What startup talks about that? Come on.
How much stock do you have personally in the company?
Also,
okay, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You're good at the no comment though.
Right. Yeah.
How many users?
We've got about just over 30 million registered users. I think we had about 12 million users listen last month. We got 7 or 8 million iPhone installs, 2 million BlackBerry.
How do you measure plays? Do you count number of play hours per day or songs streamed per day? How do you what do those stats look like? Are you willing to talk about?
You know, we don't really talk about the hours dimension so much publicly. I can say this, though. We are easily the largest internet radio
Are you willing to
service.
admit that you are an internet radio startup?
Yes,
That
we
you
are.
stream music?
We are.
Do you want to say how many
When we
songs?
lose the light, is this over?
It's good. We're nearing the end, yeah.
Then we get the spotlight on it. Right on you.
Any other questions?
And you guys are still planning on turning a profit next year.
Yeah. No, that's the really exciting thing about that's happening is to have this royalty dispute resolved. You know, really sets us up to have our first profitable year next year, and
I think if you go stand right here, the light will get a little better for the very end.
Yeah. Spin
Is that-
around.
are we-
yeah.
yeah.
It's good.
So just tell me, just come on. Just tell us how much you raised. I mean, at least let us get the database right on that.
Let's go have a drink, Mike.
It's enough to get you profitable? You never have to raise again? You think that?
Yeah, I think that's true. That's the hope.
All right. You remember, like, I was there when you guys launched back in
You were. I've got a great story
Bar
about that
camp?
for another day.
Bar Camp,
Yeah.
05.
Yeah.
TechCrunch was about a day old. when
It
you guys
was.
launched.
Yeah.
And look how far you've come.
I may have been the last entrepreneur that you chased for a story. As
I did,
opposed to-
yeah.
You did.
Oh, no, we still chase people for stories. Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks very
All
much.
right, thank you, Mike.